Greetings, VEC. This is your corporate chaplain, Gary Frost, and just want to share a word with you for this March. You might remember last month I embarked upon kind of a biographical study of some Bible characters, and the person I chose last month was Joshua. Well, this month I want to focus quickly upon another leader. His name is Nehemiah. Now, interestingly, I've been blessed to have six children, and four of my children, four of my boys actually, have biblical names. My wife entrusted me with the privilege of naming our children, and I have one son named Daniel, another one named Timothy, then there's Jonathan, and then there's Benjamin. And the reason I named them biblical names is because they kind of give evidence of the journey I was in my ministry as a pastor. So when I was studying on the life of Timothy, guess what? Named my son Timothy, uh, Jonathan and Daniel and Benjamin. Um, but I didn't name any of them Nehemiah. For whatever reason, I didn't choose that one. I was going through a study, but I didn't name anyone Nehemiah. Nehemiah is one of my favorite Bible characters. Long story short, Nehemiah was an exile in Babylon. Um, the children of Israel had been taken captive by the Babylonians and were brought in exile. Nebuchadnezzar was the captor, but at this time, King Artaxerxes was in charge there in Babylon. And Nehemiah was born there in that exilic situation and was raised up. He was very um, astute young man. He actually became the king's cupbearer, which meant that he was a trusted confidant of the king Artaxerxes. Well, as functioning in that role, he had a lot of influence, even though he was a slave in Babylon. He'd heard word that the walls of Jerusalem, where his parents had grown up, the walls were torn down. The people were in dismay, and when he heard that news, he was just so distraught and began to just weep and cry out to God, ask God to give him the privilege of going back to the city of Jerusalem to rebuild the walls. Well, those things occurred. He was empowered, he was given resources to go back and rebuild. When he got there, he found that people were they were disorganized. The people that had remained there in Jerusalem were even in some ways hostile to anyone coming in to bring leadership. And so, first thing Nehemiah did was he inspected the walls. He wanted to see how bad the situation was. And he went around by night and checked the walls out and determined what the problems were. But then he gathered the leaders together. He made a statement to them that I think is relevant here and now. As we look around sometimes in our families, sometimes our communities, in our nation, we can see a lot of disarray, a lot of disorganization, a lot of lack of leadership. But Nehemiah said to them, it says this in Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 17. He said, "You see the bad situation we are in, that Jerusalem is desolate and its gates burned by fire. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem so that we no longer will be a reproach." So the point I just want to draw from the life of Nehemiah is uh, a leader has to be compassionate about the project and passionate towards people. But at the same time, he's got to work and develop a plan that is agreed upon by everyone. But yet, and still, he has to give leadership. In other words, it's not a total democracy. He had to give leadership, but he got the input from others in order to embark upon this grand mission to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And he rallied the people together, and they rebuilt the wall. And the amazing thing, they rebuilt this amazing boundary around the city of Jerusalem in 52 days. It was a miracle, actually. And everyone saw that it was done because a leader had come in and united the people. for one purpose. Hope you'll be a leader who unites, brings people together, sees the big vision, and then does what it takes to keep them on mission. Take care.